This is the story of a Kiwi mother, a primary school teacher, desperate to hold on to her children. To do that, she's forced to live in New York. Not a hardship in itself, except they won't give her a work permit. So she and the kids are in a homeless shelter in the seedy suburb of Harlem. And that's where Sarah Hall found them, waiting, hoping for the American courts to come to their aid.
On the face of it, 5-year-old Cameron and 7-year-old Lily look like ordinary kids, enjoying life in New York with their parents. They have a mother who clearly dotes on them, and a father who desperately wants them in his life. But this is no idyllic family. These kids are stuck in the middle of an ugly international custody battle. On one side is Cantabrian Kelly Hendry, who wants to bring her children to live in New Zealand.
I have nothing here. I can't give up on my kids. I know in my heart that what I want for them is what's right for them.
On the other side, Robert Sophia, who says he's prepared to fight all the way to Washington to keep his kids in New York.
Would any parent in their right mind want their children to be moved 10,000 miles away for the only reason being to appease the mother?
There's no doubt New York is a spectacular city, and if you're rich, it's one hell of a town. Everything you could possibly want is at your doorstep, 24/7.
So this is home sweet home.
But try existing on food stamps and welfare in the most expensive city in the US. For more than a year, Kelly and her children have been doing just that, living here in a one-room family shelter in Harlem until the custody dispute is resolved.
And this is where the kids sleep, which I screened off so that they have like their own little tent and a sense of privacy.
It's a far cry from the lifestyle Kelly once led. When she moved to New York 10 years ago, she lived here on the ultra-conservative and wealthy Upper East Side, nannying for a family worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Kelly, you lived in this incredibly beautiful neighbourhood in New York. What was your lifestyle like when you lived here?
It was amazing. It was very different from anything I'd known back home. You know, the family I lived with, they have homes in Miami, Rome, the Hamptons, so we would spend a lot of time travelling from house to house depending on the season and obviously the school year.
Eventually, the family Kelly worked for hired her to help run one of their publishing companies. It was there she would meet and fall in love with Robert Sophia, a native New Yorker who worked in the music industry and publishing.
He pretty much swept me off my feet. You know, he made me feel like a princess, he really did.
Back then, if you had asked me, would I be sitting here talking to you about this case, I would say absolutely not, because, you know, she and I are head over heels in love and we're going to build a future together and so on and so forth.
After several years together, Kelly eventually fell pregnant with her first child, daughter Lily. She claims, although he denies it, that when she was pregnant, she found out Robert had been dating someone else the entire time they were together.
There'd been a lot of other issues in the relationship up until that point, but that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And at that point I decided that I needed to leave and return home to New Zealand to have Lily.
Kelly planned to stay in New Zealand with Lily. Robert felt this was akin to kidnapping and began writing a book about the experience.
I got sent text messages telling me what a terrible person I was. He sent emails pretending to be other family members where they would, you know, describe me as having kidnapped his daughter away and that I was cruel and that I was heartless.
To the surprise of her friends and family, after a year in New Zealand, Kelly decided to return to New York to try to make a go of their relationship.
I wanted a two-parent family for my daughter. You know, that's what I was raised with, and it's what I wanted for her. I thought we could make it work. I thought it would be different.
They had a second child, son Cameron, but clearly things still weren't right. The couple didn't marry, even though that would have made Kelly a permanent resident. Given her immigration status, why did you and Kelly never marry?
I wanted couples counseling. I wanted both of us to go to a counselor and work out, her aggravation against me, mine against her. I mean, my biggest issue with Kelly at that point was, you know what? You were cruel enough to take our child 10,000 miles away, deny me the opportunity to see my daughter be born. And I had deep concerns that somebody who was that cruel that would deny her partner access to his own child, it was something that had to be addressed.
Clearly, Robert and Kelly will never agree on all the reasons their relationship ended. She says he was never at home. Robert says she only wanted him for financial support. Whatever the case, the couple broke up, and that's where things have turned ugly. You see, Kelly wants to return to New Zealand.
Whether a relationship works out or not, if you have children together, your prime responsibility is to do what you can to co-parent the children together. It is not, this whole notion, which is archaic, that a father by default should lose equal access to his children simply because the relationship doesn't work out with their mother is absolutely ridiculous.
It does seem unreasonable on the surface. Here is a mother who, as you said, had children in the United States with an American father, and now suddenly she wants to move them so far away. It's a lot more complicated than that.
What makes it complicated is that Kelly is an illegal immigrant. She has no green card to legally work.
Billy, did you want to drink milk?
Her parents have spent $60,000 on her legal bills, so there's no money for a proper home.
How hard has it been to survive?
It's been pretty tough. We have very limited resources in terms of what I can spend on food and clothing and transportation. And we've just been very lucky in that I have friends who have been able to help out occasionally with clothing and food when we really need it.
Making it worse, the court case determining whether Lily and Cameron can be brought to New Zealand has been repeatedly delayed. In the meantime, Kelly is stuck in a terrible limbo, unable to leave, but unable to support her children.
Lily, you going to carry the basket for me?
As the children are US citizens, Kelly gets $80 a week in food stamps and $70 a week for everything else. She is not entitled to any welfare herself.
The last thing I wanted was for us to end up where we are. And I'm just grateful that my kids are so young that they don't recognise that it's as bad as it is.
Coming up.
Do you think your brother will ever allow the children to leave America?
No, my brother is such an angry, vengeful person. I don't think he would ever allow it.
That's next on 60 Minutes.